I'll give up virtually anything for you. The pursuit makes me feel alive.
Was this marriage is our first priority. It says, on the 9 lessons we learned over 17 years of marriage, the number 9 thing on that list was make your marriage your highest priority. And that sits in conflict with what Lewis said to me. So I'm like, who's telling the truth? Is it both? Is it?
Well, so it will be a question of results. So Lewis, you know I love you, brother. So I will just say this, that he was honest with her is amazing. And that's gonna buy them several years of like, he told me, I understand, but I believe relationships require too many sacrifices for them not to be the thing that you reinforce as your highest priority. And if it isn't giving you more than anything else gives you, then it will always lose out. And so ultimately, they will either be living parallel lives, anybody that chooses this, you'll end up living parallel lives where you each have something that's more important, like kids, which is one of the reasons at least, and I didn't have kids, because we were both honest, like the kid would be our first priority, which means that each of us would fall into second place. And did we want to do that? And so that was part of why we didn't have kids. And I think that's right. I think that if you're gonna raise kids, they need to be your first priority. But I don't have kids, so whatever. There are probably people that have way better advice than me on children. But anyway, that was part of why we didn't have kids. And a relationship is massive compromise, massive.
That's so interesting because he said the opposite.
Oh, no.
He said, don't compromise anything.
It won't. Anybody who takes that, because I want to make this about Lewis, who I love so dearly.
No, I know, it's just different perspectives, right?
Yeah, I will say that I've got a 20-year marriage to back up my thesis here. And if a relationship is compromise, because you have two people that view the world in even slightly different ways, that want slightly different things. And so, I mean, Lewis has made it clear that there are two things that are more important. So there's going to be constant collision and friction there. I think we have an innate desire as a human being to be somebody's number one priority. And I have found in my own life that there is nothing more extraordinary, nothing more uplifting, no higher than being somebody's number one that is your number one, and you love and respect each other, and you have a thriving sexual relationship, and it is the most profoundly joyful thing I've ever experienced in my life. It's stabilizing. So the people that have the strongest home life take the biggest risks. I remember when I heard that, I was like, whoa, that really makes sense to me. Because I will say, what I say to myself all the time is, hey, I'm building this thing. I'm really putting myself out on a limb trying to build this company. If it all goes to nothing and the whole world thinks I'm a moron, at least I have my wife. And I'm just like, oh yeah, word. Like I will have my wife. Like no matter what other people think, if I continue to honor her in the way that I honor her now, I will have my wife. And so the only thing I don't fear going broke. I don't fear losing my business. I fear losing my wife. Because the outsized return that I've gotten out of this marriage compared to what money's brought me or whatever micro fame that I have, like it's awesome. Money is awesome. The micro fame is awesome, but it's nothing compared to my wife. Nothing. So, I mean, it's just, oh my God, it's incredible, man. It's incredible. And so to get that requires sacrifice, it requires attention, it requires making it your first priority, because otherwise there's gonna be a moment where one person needs that and they realize that they're giving that up, right? And the thing is though, from anybody's perspective, if you'd asked me when we were first dating, I would have said the same thing. There's no way, we just got together. You know what I mean? So you're not gonna be my number one priority. So for me, there was a line in the sand. When I decided to propose, that was a very difficult thing for me. I really thought about it, man. I debated it. Is she really the one? And finally I was like, well, I'm either never getting married or I'm marrying this woman, because I have never felt like this. Like she feels worth the sacrifices, all that. And once I proposed, I never once thought about it again. There was no cold feet. There was never like, oh, should I, shouldn't I? Once I made that decision, it was everything. So my advice to anybody in that situation is there should be a line where you say, and now, because of what I want this relationship to become, I'm going to make it my number one. Now look, I've built extraordinary businesses even with my wife being my number one priority. And she isn't the thing that I allocate the most time to, and that's important to understand. But she's my number one priority. So if ever she came to me and said, hey, I really need you right now, but there was something really important going on in the business, I'd be like, word, totally unconflicted. Awesome, what do you need? I'm here, which has happened many times. So on that, it's actually nice, to Jocko Willink's point of discipline equals freedom, knowing that she's my number one, that I don't need to be conflicted. If ever any two things collide, it's always Lisa. There's like a peace in that.
Is there anything you wouldn't compromise?
So I once told Lisa, I said, look,